Hello and welcome to Chronic Ailments and Scientific Nutrition. My name is Janar Iman. I'm a clinical nutritionist and I've been practicing for over 30 years in Marin County. And the purpose of our show is to bring you nutritional solutions based on lab analysis for chronic and acute conditions that you may feel you have to use medicines for. This is a holistic approach and we help the body to heal itself by the combination of labs, proper nutrition, and the right kind of supplements that are natural supplements combined in the specific ways to reach the cellular level and create healing in the body. So the name of our show today is Foundational Healing and the Gut-Brain Connection. This is kind of part two from my last show because this is such an important part of new research and actually healing in the body that we want to put some emphasis on how we can get our life back, how we can turn back the aging clock, how we can feel good again, how we can digest our food and have it turn into the molecules and the nutritional supplemental needs for our cells for repair and growth. And so what happens is we often experience symptoms that we don't relate. We don't relate our food cravings, maybe poor memory focus, poor sleep, moods, moodiness, and fatigue to the digestive health, or even to our brain connection, to foggy thinking. Are you experiencing brain fog, fuzzy thinking, irritability, restless sleep, stomach and gastric discomfort? And most people wouldn't even put the two of those together, but the combination of those stresses have an extreme effect on the entire body. And from a holistic approach, this is really causing a lot of the underlying cause of disease and illness and discomfort in our bodies today. So we have this gut hormone connection that I want to talk about, and I want to tie together all the loose ends so that you might understand how, with the right supplements and the right testing, so you can get to the core of maybe what your issues are. Yours may be different than somebody who's even in your family that, for hereditary reasons, has the exact same disease or symptoms that you have, because your genetics might be slightly different. You might have gotten a set of genes that was slightly different than your brother, your sister, your sibling, or one or the other of your parents. And then whatever happens in your life will trigger off different markers in your body, in your immune system, that brings about a different disease states. So we want to connect the dots for what makes you, you. And one of the ways we're going to talk about that today is your gut hormone connection. And digestive health disorders are so common in the US today that they're also being discovered as a major contributor to thyroid function, that feeling of fatigue. The problem with that is not just taking a blood test and getting thyroid medication, but what happens when you have collateral damage, and often you have a hormonal cascade. You have one symptom or one dysfunction or one deficiency, and it leads to another and another and another, so that we have what we call this collateral damage. And then when we look at the statistics, thyroid disease predisposes you to many other degenerative diseases, and we know this now. There's been many studies showing that this plays a major role in obesity and diseases associated with weight gain, diabetes, metabolic dysfunctions, and in older women with subclinical hypothyroidism, they have a 2 times likelihood of having a blocked aorta or a heart attack. And according to the National Thyroid Institute, 50% of all depression could be caused by an undiagnosed thyroid condition, or a thyroid condition that is underlying the thyroid condition that you did have diagnosed, like an autoimmune condition that maybe isn't being addressed, and that's why you don't feel quite right yet. Studies are showing that autoimmune types of thyroid or hypothyroid conditions such as Hashimoto's can lead to all kinds of things like psychosis and seizures and dementia and mood changes as the situation progresses. And other hormone problems associated with perimenopause and menopause, and including symptoms that plague so many due to thyroid disease, are often related to digestive disorders, adrenal dysfunction. So stress and adrenal fatigue in the United States is an epidemic condition. We live in a stressful world. We're all under stress for one reason or another, and the body can't tell what kind of stress is happening. It just knows that it's under stress. And so the adrenals are the overworked hormonal gland in the system, and they're usually the knight in shining armor that comes to the rescue of everything else, including the hormones. So what happens is we have a hormonal cascade with the adrenal gland stress too, and the numbers tell us that in the United States and the European Union, 30 to 40% of all workers are exposed to these kinds of work stress that are over the top, and this has increased since the 1990s. It's a big concern with businesses who have noticed that it affects the function of, you know, their employees at their jobs. So we're all tearing our hair out for answers, and yet sometimes we're finding them and sometimes we're not. Well, the good news about all this is we now know. I mean, we have gotten to the point where we have discovered so many scientific and clinical ways to look at these markers and to help with this. And your average physician may not have the time to actually do this, but we make a focus in our office to really spend time doing a holistic approach, a holistic intake, so that we get to the bottom and the core of what's really eating you. Lab tests are often based on finding disease and don't often reveal the underlying conditions. So when we do testing, we want to also go for the underlying conditions. So a list of symptoms combined with comprehensive type testing to see what your overall biomedical picture is an important place to start. So the latest research also has shown lately and been reported in Newsweek magazine that the gut-brain connection is now a proven fact. We're not guessing about this anymore. We're no longer saying, you know, gee, I don't think your digestive issues has anything to do with your depression or your hormonal dysfunction. We're saying we now know. And, you know, this is a picture of a cell membrane. And in your brain, in your intestines, in your hormonal organs, this process has to be at a functioning level. You have a double lipid layer, and these cells have to have the right nutrition and the proper environment and the ability to be given the tools they need to let the good nutritional proponents in and to be able to detoxify the bad ones. So you have these little protein channels that are highly regulated to a specific job in allowing this function to happen. But if this little membrane, and you have millions of these cells in your body with these membranes, is dysfunctioning or brittle or not working well because of a disease or a stress or a hormonal condition, you will be heading down the road of disease, and the stress increases, the toxic stress increases, and your lifetime exposure just adds to that. So you have these major stressors in life, and these are the top 5. Work, the diet, and your health is what we were just talking about, and toxins. Toxins from the environment, toxins from what you eat and drink and breathe and are exposed to, and financial worries and relationship issues on top of all that. Often add to this picture of stress in the cells and in the body, and starts dysregulating the normal function. The digestive health is such a huge part of this gut-brain connection, and even people who are not celiac can get inflammation on that intestinal level, that digestive level from the grains, especially the genetically modified ones, or the non-organic ones, or the ones that you may have sensitivities to that somebody else may not. And so intestinal health determines if your genes express health or obesity, a propensity for cancer, your food cravings, hypothyroidism, depression, and diabetes in the long run. So we've got to look at everything that you do. The stress in your life, what you're eating, how your digestive function is actually working, and you know, the integrity of your gut is so important. And we've done a lot to destroy the integrity of our guts in you know, this wonderful day of modern medicine. We're so thankful for the antibiotics that we have, you know, that keep us from dying from major diseases, and yet that restorative aspect that is often able to happen when we're younger doesn't happen when we're older. And when we're older, sometimes we're often taking more of these medications, not only antibiotics, but antidepressants and other things that can destroy the gut. And then plus we have food digestive sensitivities that develop when the gut and the digestive tract begins to not function as well. And some of the symptoms, you know, you may notice if you pay attention are tingling and itching in your mouth, hives or eczema. Sometimes that seems unrelated, but it's not. Or swelling of the lips or the face or the tongue. It could be mild, but if you notice anything like that, you might say, gee, something's going on here. I'm not digesting this well, I'm not functioning well. Abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, or any of those things can be related to extreme gastric disorders or something that's not fitting well in your body. Symptoms of lightheadedness, dizziness, less common are anaphylactic shock or a severe allergic reaction. But any of these things are antagonists. They create a stress in the system, even on a mild level, and create to a dysfunctional level of hormones. And when that happens, we start losing integrity of the gut, and we start losing the signaling systems in our body, because hormones are little messengers, and it's really important that they're all talking to each other correctly. So leaky gut, gluten intolerant, and food allergies that are symptoms that you find lead to eventually a lot of other symptoms, including hormonal dysfunction. And so up here we have a picture of what these little enterocyte cells look like in the small intestine, enterocyte, excuse me. They have these little junctions in here that are supposed to be tight, and as you can see here, some of these are looking pretty loose. Now, on the one side of this is your small intestine, and if these junctions are tight, these undigested foods don't slip through. This is a picture of a leaky gut, where these tight junctions have come into a place of disrepair and not functioning well, and they're letting molecules through and into the blood that shouldn't be there, and it creates a problem. It creates a problem on an allergic level. It contributes to celiac and food sensitivities. It creates a lot of problems with leaky guts and Crohn's and digestive disorders that eventually affect the whole health of the body, because the body has to be healthy on the digestive level in order to take nutrients in, transform them into what your body needs to have healthy blood, healthy tissues and organs, and it's important that it's all functioning well. And now we have a way of telling with blood tests from a little chemical called zonulin. It's like a gatekeeper for your bowels, and it decides how much space there is between the cells of your bowel lining. So that's part of the problem here. It decides what size of particles of food can pass through, and a 2006 recent study showed that the bowels, or the intestines, the gut, also known as your simply gut or GI tract, that people who have too much zonulin, and so we can test for this in the gut, are more prone to leaky gut and celiac disease because we have now a breakdown of the function, and we want to repair this. We want to know about this so we can do something about it. In the meantime, on a diet level, here's some of the things that causes those sensitivities, and wheat is one of them. We know that people have celiac issues and sensitivities to wheat gluten, and gliadin is the protein, the prolamine that is responsible for that. But other grains have that too. Other gluten grains have the same effect on the small intestine by wearing away these villi and creating a perfect situation for a leaky gut. And so I have here listed in red the order of importance and how you should pay attention to these. These are the gluten grains, the one in red. Oats sort of neutral in the middle, and avenin is its prolamine. And sorghum, millet, teff have caffeurins, and corn has zein, and they seem to be less damaging to the small intestine, and therefore less damaging to the digestion all the way around. But how do you really know? We want to do preventive lab testing so that we get a good idea of what at a core level is actually happening with you. Okay, so how healthy are you really? And what problems are just beginning to happen? What diseases do you have? What are you starting to get a propensity towards? What dietary and lifestyle changes you should make? And if the supplements you are taking are the right ones, and are they working? And the proper kind of lab testing done on a preventive level is very, very important to determine this. Many problems can show up in lab tests that are markers. If you know how to look at the labs properly and you get enough comprehensive values to compare, that can be preventive on this level. So you may want to know that you can have only 20% of liver and kidney function before it shows up on a standard lab test. But if you're looking at it from a preventive point of view, you're actually getting a lot more information, so you can do a lot more. So the idea is to stop the inflammatory cycle. And my goal is to provide you with real clinical applications for food, nutritional therapies, and to correct leaky gut and how those symptoms can affect your neuroendocrine system, your thyroid function, and reverse autoimmune processes. And so when I'm able to work with people on that level and use cellular healing protocols that really work to get down to the cellular healing level, we can create a state of health and healing that reduces cellular inflammation, the gene expression of markers that create disease, and rid our body of toxic load. And a simple way we can figure out if your cells are inflamed or not is a little test called the Medioxy test. And it can tell you if you have dying, damaged, or inflamed cells and your antioxidants are working or not working properly by a urinary malinaldehyde test, which is a test of lipid peroxidation and free radical damage. And it's so accurate that it's 50 times more accurate than just blood alone. We can figure out if you're aging prematurely and whether your cellular inflammation has increased to the point where you're not making ATP for cellular energy, you're not getting the glutathione made in the cells, and so your oxidative stress is beginning to set in, whether you have enough B12, methylation is actually taking place, or whether you're in a no-ono cycle, which means that you can no longer detox and you need help, or you will not be able to get past the disease state. You can go from small little problems to larger problems, but comprehensive lab testing with this kind of protocol in mind is how we find out. And here's a sample of the kind of testing we do. There's 52 different blood tests combined with urinalysis and hair. And this is a comparative test of two different tests for the same person. And on this little side here, you can see a lot of yellow, red, and blue different colorations. And the yellow means that you're outside the healthy range, but you're not severe yet. Red is more severe, and blue is really the disease state. But what we can do when we give you a healthy protocol that's designed specifically for you based on your needs and based on your biomedical picture, when we retest you again, often these have changed into healthier scores. And here you can see that there's a lot of white, some yellow, and only a little red. So we've seen a lot of progress just in 6 months to a year in this person by having the right nutritional supplements. So the beauty of this is to create a nutritional program that's designed for your health and your body. Comprehensive lab testing is the way that we do it so that we can find your healthy lab ranges rather than your functional lows and functional high values, which standardized blood work will categorize you in. You'll see in your standardized blood tests that you'll have a large range of one or the other. And of course, you never want to get into the abnormal lows, but we concentrate on these healthy lab ranges so that we know exactly where we need to start with you and how to compare you with people who have a healthy situation. And combining that with hair analysis, we can see here if you have toxins in your body that you need to rid yourself for. As you can see, some over here in the yellow area, or whether or not you are mineral deficient. And a mineral deficient cell is not a functioning cell. So your gene expression does not have to be your destiny. Changing your gene expression and allowing your body to heal to the point where it can make its own antioxidants, like your glutathione, can increase your cellular energy, your ATP, decreases oxidative stress and inflammation, and it improves your cognitive function. And essentially, that's when we feel healthy. When we're thinking well, when we're active, when our hormones are working functionally. So for those of you who want to know more, what I want to share with you is ways that you can really do this in real time in your own life. Real-time tests for how a healthy biome can vary based on your specific genetics, your place of origin, and how your ancestors lived is important information. So we get into a lot of details about that. I want to show you how herbs and fibers can bring health to your intestinal tract. These are natural substances. And they have an important relationship to your intestinal tract and your brain relationship and your entire nervous system, which is very important to your state of health. And I spent a lot of time going to seminars and keeping up on the latest research. And recently, Dr. Morris of Systemic Formulas has come up with some biological and herbologic formulas that have reached the state of the art in the healing of the gut. And a gut lab test which shows you exactly where you need to begin and what you need to eliminate. So our main specific idea is to remove the source of your inflammation, regenerate your cell membrane, restore your cellular energy, reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, and reestablish methylation in the cell so you can break this cycle. And on a cellular level, you will create a specific kind of health in your body that allows your body to heal on a core level. And once your gut is working well and your brain is functioning well and your hormones are coming back again, and you no longer have that feeling of disease or brain fog, you can have a healthy, happy life again, and you don't have to be on a medicine cycle forever. So the advantage of this kind of lab testing is that we base our testing on the scores of healthy people. And the averages of healthy people are put into a computer and matched up with the symptoms of your scores of your blood testing and your hair analysis and your urine, and this gives you a set of goals you can work with that are specific to you. And then the computer never misses anything. It never makes a mistake. So the analysis that it gives is your particular biomedical picture that has recommendations for you and the healing supplements that you need and the dietary lifestyle changes that you need to make to get your core healing back in shape, because we want to get you back to an aging graceful level so that you have the energy that you need to function in this world. And when you do that, you can handle the stresses of daily life. Your body can handle the oxidative stress, loads that it's put on by eliminating what it needs and detoxifying on its own. But we have to give it a little help often. So what we want to do is catch these early warning signs and look at these markers. And your comprehensive lab work can tell us if your hormones and your receptor sites are no longer communicating. And that's where the breakdown happens. So your comprehensive lab work can also tell us if you have an autoimmune hormone problem, and maybe that's why your lab tests say you look fine, your medication is normal, but you don't feel well yet. There's a reason for that. Getting at the core level is real important for that. And your lab work can also tell us if you have a toxicity problem that blocks your hormone receptors or that keeps you from digesting your food properly and healing on a cellular level and a gut level. And that's an important part of what we do. We want to educate you, we want to bring you health, we want to bring you the latest and best scientific testing so that you find health. I want to thank the crew today of the Community Media Center of Marin and the use of their facilities. My name is Janar Iman. My website is vitalnaturalhealthsolutions.com. And if you have any questions and you'd like more information, my phone number is 415-496-5205. Thank you very much, and may you be in good health.